Punya Sumkuli and Brian Sila. Great leaders here being engaged in a conversation with the hilarious Hillary Lema Chronics as they delve to answer the question, who is a leader? How can a leader nurture? And most importantly, how can a leader come to the place of retention without stumbling?
Video interview show with two aspirants in the forthcoming election between
Lerionka Tupunya Sumkuli
and Kiongozi Brian Ochieng Sila.
Wow, these are great minds, great leaders to be. Topic of the day, leadership, nurture retention. Welcome to today's show. Here with me two great minds within the scope of leadership. That is Tupunya Sumkuli and Brian Sila, deeply interviewed on the topic leadership, nurture, retention. How can you become a leader? How do you nurture it? And most importantly, how do you get to the place of retention? So that is what we are going to discuss today. Actually, this to my interviewers, to my viewers outside there, I want you to take your time and go through this video because it is something that is going to elevate you, motivate you, mentor you, develop leadership skills within you so that you become what you have, the inborn abilities within yourself. Here we go. So I'm going to ask them questions and interview them just randomly, and they give me what they have in their mind. Because I told you at first that these leaders are great and they visualize things before they act, before they talk, before they think, so that whatever comes out of their minds is logically and reasonable. When people respect you as a person, they admire. When people respect you as their friend, then they love you. I want you also to remember that when people respect you as a leader, they will follow you. So Brasila, you should be putting that stern face and together with my friend Sumkuli. I hope you should be smiling. Yeah, so that's, yeah,
exactly.
So I will start with my brother, Brian Sila.
Yes.
What motivated you, brother Brian Sila, to become a leader?
Mm-hmm. Now, thank you so much, Brother Hillary, for the interview session. And as per your question, whatever you said, what motivated me into being a leader? First, I would want to admit that leadership, it's an inborn quality. It's something you acquire just from birth. But we will not ignore the fact that there are leaders who are made. You understand?
Yes,
there are leaders who are made. But according to research, they say a third of the leaders are born and 2/3 are made. So in this, the leadership, what motivated me, I saw there are gaps. And whenever a gap exists somewhere, you must find a solution to such kind of a gap. So that's why, that was a key factor that motivated me into this leadership role. I wanted to fill that and to ensure that gap doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brother Sila. I want to ask the same question to my brother here, to Punya. What motivated you to be a leader?
Okay, thank you so much for this chance. Let me just say, I'm just like seconding my brother, but to be logic and to be truth, you have to know that leadership is actually born. That is an act that you acquire it. And leadership on its own, I was motivated in that when you are born, you actually see your father's footsteps or someone who is next to you. So when a child is actually born, he or she actually just be in touch with the parent. If your parent is actually a teacher, you will admire to become a teacher. And if your parent is a politician or a leader, you also admire, like, I want to become my dad. And also in that way, you also have to identify that there are some gaps also to be filled. As a leader, when you want to become a leader, you want to now see that I want to feel this thing. I want to be able to tackle this. And that is actually what motivated me to become a leader.
Thank you so much. This is just wow, because you get to know what motivated my two brothers here to become a leader. If I start with my brother Brian Sila, what motivated him to become a leader actually is the gaps he was seeing. To me, that he wanted to fill the gaps. And what motivated my brother to Punya Sunkuli is the somebody who was seen as a leader. To mean that the somebody was following his footsteps. Thank you so much. I'm moving to the second question, and I want you to answer and logically answer this in a brief, because the time we have is limited. Yes. And I think I'm going to direct to the second question. Here we go. Have you ever been a mentor to another aspiring leader? That is Bransila. Yes. How did you go about establishing that relationship?
Hilary, now to this extent, why would I not be a mentor to someone? Why? Because in the daily activities, we meet these people every day. Someone will come to you and tell you, Bransila, I want to do this. Do you have got an advice for me? So from there, you draw a lot of conclusions and you come up with the best methods to motivate such kind of a person. So, as you've asked, I've motivated a lot of guys, and from there, I've seen leadership qualities in them. We have to admit that. Because when one approaches you to ask you, can I do this? Meaning, at that extent, that kind of a person, within himself, he has felt that he can do it. Only what he needs a pacemaker or a pace setter to help him identify if he has got that ability now to lead. So, when one approaches you, you will have to motivate, you will have to mentor him. You have to do this, you have to remain relevant, you understand? Then the next thing, you will advise them that being a leader, you must do the right thing. You must always do the right thing and at the right time, and you keep your eyes steady on the ball.
Okay, still my eye on you, Brian Sila.
Yes.
How did you develop a relationship? Actually, you just you've given me the first part of the question. That is, have you ever been a mentor and aspiring? Have you been a mentor and aspiring leader to somebody? And that is what you just said. Now, how did you develop this relationship between you and the person you have been as a mentor to?
Okay, for you to develop a relationship, Brother Hilary, such kind of relationship takes time for you people to develop. First, it requires trust. And how is trust developed? When someone approaches you, then you will see if such kind of a person has got the ability. So from there, you will have to trust. Is this guy, whatever he's saying, does he mean it? So, from there, you create, there's that harmony between the two of you. You understand?
Yes.
There's that harmony between the two of you. So, you find a scenario whereby this kind of a relationship must be maintained for a long time. And how do you want to maintain such kind of a relationship? First, you have to make communication is a key step in this. How frequent do you people talk? Because for you to maintain a relationship, there's that frequency of communication. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Here with me, Brother Tupunya, I'm on you on the same question. Have you ever been a mentor to another aspiring leader? And how did you develop this relationship?
Well, I've been a mentor. Yes, I cannot disagree that one. I have to agree. I've been a mentor in that actually when you want to do something, you have also developed that attitude and that moral from somebody. So you need to follow that steps. You need to tame. You know they usually say tame the monkey in your mind. You tame the monkey in your mind in that you need to have much priorities. Just like a monkey jumps from tree to tree, a leader also has to have what you call many priorities. He has to develop many priorities of working on doing something. And just to say, if one person or actually another person who is actually wants to become a leader, wants to follow your footsteps, he or she has to see what you are doing. And if someone has seen Lerionka is sitting down, he wants also to sit down. If you see that person has already sat down like you become upstanding. You stand up. And if he stands up, you need to stand out. And if you also stand out, you become outstanding. And if you become outstanding, you also have to develop what you call standards of measure. And you will be the standard of measure. He will be following you. And that is actually how you become a mentor. You will be the standards of measure. Because after he has sat down like you, he has stand in, he has stand up, and he has stand out, you become the standards of measure after you have actually set the standards. Thank you.
Wow, this is great. I think I told you that it will be nice interacting with these great minds because what they have in mind visualize the world. And here we go. The third question. What is the most important virtues or values you demonstrate as a leader? What are the most important values and virtues you develop and you demonstrate as a leader or as a mentor?
One of the things that you need to develop as a leader is deep honesty. Deep honesty. As a leader, you need to be honest. You know, there are these empty promises leaders used to give it out. A leader, once he wants a city, is now telling people like, I'm going to build a road on the air, or I'm going to build a house on the river. That one will not happen. You need also to give out logic. Logic what? Logic promises. Don't just give out empty promises and actually you end up doing nothing in leadership. So if that person who is seeing you and also wants to be like you need to actually exercise this called deep honesty.
Deep honesty.
Yes.
What I'm getting from my brothers to Punya is developing a virtue called deep honesty. Wow. On my brother, Brad Silla, what are the virtues and the values you demonstrate as a leader?
Okay. Being a leader, first, Brother Hilary, it requires commitment. You must be committed. You must show the constituents you are going to lead that even if things get on the hardest side, you don't lose the focus. You understand?
Yes.
And I will also concur with my brother Lerionka. As a leader, you must be honest. Say whatever you can deliver to the people. You understand?
Yes.
Say whatever you can deliver to the people, no matter how big or no matter how small it is. Then, as I said before, when you are going to the leadership role, identify a gap and ensure it is a common gap to each and everyone in that particular community or a society. From there, you become honest and you tell them, I would want to construct you people a road. I would want to deliver this and this. You ensure that is a gap. You understand? But as well, you can also improve whatever is there as a leader. But now we are sticking to this point, the virtues. 1, commitment. 2, honesty. Then you must lead by example every moment. Thank you.
Just to also add on something, you know, as a leader, we need also to build a nation with zero tolerance to corruption. In that you work hand in hand with the people in the ground. You need to listen as a good source of business idea to people. You listen to what people say. You go deep the ground. Listen, what are they saying? What are they? We were thinking about gaps. You know, when you are a leader, you need also to wear the shoes of another leader who was in, and you need to also address the issues and the concern that has not been addressed. Those are the gaps. So when you go down to the people, you listen to what they say. You're able to do what they need and they require you to do. Because you know, when you are a leader, you sit in the office. You are saying now, these are my roles, these are my roles. There are some there are some emerging issues that can emerge that needs to be solved. And those are the things that as a leader, you need also to do. Because if you can't do, you become past tense. I used to say, like, if you don't make history, you become history. And therefore, that gap, you feel you have developed a history and you will not become a history, but you have made history. Yes.
Wow, this is amazing. I've heard from my friends here, we have deep honesty and developing a gap. And these are the values that they develop from the deepest part of their heart. And they fill these gaps. Wow. We are moving to the third question. I don't know whether this is going to be the fourth question, but they are left proud. I don't know whether they are, I don't know whether they are, this is also, this virtue also, they demonstrate this virtue, but we'll get to know as time goes by. How will you go about getting a cohesion among the team who disagrees as a leader? You know, we take this thing even to the scope of the whole world, to the reality. How do you get to go about getting a cohesion between the group who disagrees with you? Because as a leader, some of the times you'll get a group actually who opposes you, and a group who agrees with you or who supports you, or whom you hold their support. Now, how do you go about this? I start with my brother Sila.
Okay, Brother Hilary, we have to admit that in each and every society, there are those who will oppose you as a leader. But that should show you as a visionary, you have got a vision. When you meet opposition, a pastor of mine once said, when you meet opposition, you should know that you are moving into the right direction. But how do you coerce now with these people? How do you bring them? First, as a leader, your followers, you must put them ahead. They must be ahead of you. And with this way, you lead, but you show them examples. There's this a scenario whereby, sometimes I'm matching to the Bible. Jesus is talking about the lost or the sheep when you are a shepherd. So in leadership, you must behave like a shepherd. You have got your sheep. How do you identify that one of my sheep is missing? First, you must be behind them to watch each and every sheep grazing in their directions. From there, if one is missing, you know it has taken this direction. So you can't be in front and these people that are behind you, you will not know whatever is going behind you. You understand?
Yes.
So now, when you meet opposition, that should be an advantage to you as a leader. You try to bring these people on board. Tell them what you have for them. Tell them why you feel you are the best leader. From there, if it was a group of 10 or 100 people, you will get 50 of them as diverged or as diverted their attention, and now they focus on you. So you must bring all your oppositions on board. And when I'm basing my fact, whatever I'm saying, I can check at the current system of Kenyan government. After the 2017 election, we had those who felt the election wasn't free and fair. But for the continuity of the nation, the president had to bring those who felt they were rigged on board. and we tell them, for this nation to move, and we move as a one team, we must all come on board. And from there, a solution was brought.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is just amazing. I told you that interacting with the great minds, you get inspired and motivated. Thank you so much on my brother Sunkuli Tupunya. On you.
Agree. I can actually say that is an opposition. Let's just imagine if there was no opposition in any place or in a country. There will be nothing which is running. There will be nobody who will be checking. You know, the function of an opposition is to check on the mistakes of the person who is working, of the government which is working, and to also correct them. So they will be working hand in hand. For example, if I can say we are now in a mission with Brian Silla, we are working together. But Silla is telling me we are working in the same place, and I don't know deep in the heart. You know, you cannot identify a person deep in the heart.
Yes.
Later on, you see, Brian Silla is running away. He is leaving me to kill that animal. You see? He is leaving me to kill that animal. And later on, when he sees that I've killed that animal, he comes running and shouting to be associated with me. You see? So, that association will tell you that this guy was not with you. This guy was not with you. They were just working. I was just using him as an example. But that to say, when you actually have an opposition, bring them on board. Coming together will be at the beginning. Coming together will be a beginning. Then keeping together will be a continuity. And working together will be a success. So having that, coming together with the opposition, bringing it on board, talking, discussing on the things that they disagree and they need to be corrected is a beginning. Working together, you know, when we are now working together is a continuity. Is a continuity and a success of it, and you will not get any opposition, but they will be telling you, let us work in this place, let us work in this place, and in this manner, and in that way. Thank you.
Wow, this is amazing. I've come up with the one great thing and one thing common within with both these great leaders in front of me here. That is, you have to bring your opposers on board. And again, I've learned something that after bringing them on board, what you do, you keep them together, working together, which bring about continuity and success. I think this might be the second last question. What are some of the circumstances, are the most difficult situation that you've gone through as a leader? Let me come up again. What are some of the most difficult situations and circumstances that you've gone through as a leader? Though you look young, but I hope you've gone through some of the most difficult situations. Yeah, I start with my brother Brian Silla.
Brother Hilary, to be sincere, leadership comes with a lot of challenges. First, everything as at now relies on the resources you have. You understand? You want to lead a group of people, and at that scenario they consider you as their leader or the team leader. First of all, you must have the required resources for you to lead, and the resources starts with money. So whenever that is a challenge, sometimes it even becomes so hard to manage your people. So that is one of the key challenges.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Brother Brian Silla. And on you, Tupunya.
Saying and sticking on the challenges leaders usually face. You know, we are also leaders of the tomorrows. You know, these other guys who are still working in the government, they will return, they will go home.
Yes.
That is guaranteed to everyone. And just to say, one of the challenges that leaders usually face is opposition. Opposition is a challenge that they face. You find a person opposing you, and they usually check on the mistakes. You know, as a leader, you need to also correct your mistakes. The mistake that you make actually can outweigh the good things that you do. And the funny thing with these people, they usually check majorly on the mistakes. They cannot check on their success. The mistakes that you have actually done will cover all the good things that you did, and therefore as a leader you need to check on the mistakes. Another thing is incomplete projects. When you are a leader, you are maybe, we here in campus, you are telling others like, I'll do this to you, I'll do this to you, let me do this to you at 2. Then you find at 2 that person is not there, he's offline. Let us not make empty promises. And these promises, maybe here in school, here in the university, we concur there in the society. In that, a leader will actually promise the citizens actually that I'm going to work with you this thing, and at the end of 5 years, he end up working doing nothing. And therefore, we need also to check on those things. Let us not have incomplete projects, but rather do the thing that actually you promised to them.
Wow. I've come up with some of the great motivating and encouraging points. That is having resources and making sure you have a complete project. Yes, we are moving, or almost done with the interview. And the last question, sometimes as a leader, there are some of the things that you have to give up for you to go up. You have to give up for you to go up. To me, that's some of the sacrifices that you have to make so that you go up. I don't know whether you've forgotten some of your girlfriends somewhere because you see a state house somewhere and you want to go to the state house and the girlfriend is here pulling you and saying, no, you know what, beautiful, I'm going to forget about you. You tell your father, no, father, because I want to be at the state house, I'm going to forget about you. Now, I come and start with you, Branson.
Brother Hilary, in this leadership role, there's a moment that you will have to give up on some things for you to succeed. You understand?
Yeah.
So, now I would talk in this scenario. Basing my argument on this, that during this period when you are faced with such kind of challenges, as a leader, they say you must be a schemer, you must be scheming. What can I do and what I can't do? You understand? A friend of yours, or even a girlfriend, or just any other person would come just to testify and ask you, Sailor, can I get 100,000 from you? You are a leader. And you want to maintain that virtue of leadership. At the moment, and at that moment, you know very well you can't even afford 100 shillings. What do you do? You will have to give up, right? But now, how do you give up? You must explain to this person that at the moment, my friend, I can only afford this and this. And this is what I can deliver to you. So you give up on the 100,000, but still you give out something. So they go hand on hand. You give up on that which is too high you can't afford, and you give whatever you can afford. Then the second thing, as a leader, you must give up on some of these activities. You understand?
Yeah.
There are some activities you must give up on. If you are used to sleeping or going to bed early, you must give up on that. A leader must sleep late. You ensure your constituents have slept. If you had got a message that you must attend to, or you had to attend to, you give it priority first. You attend to it, so that after sorting them out, they will feel this person cares for us, right? That is one quality of being a leader. You must always deliver. So, you better spare your time. You give up on sleeping early, going to bed early, and you go to bed late, and also you wake up early.
Thank you so much, Brother Bransila. You have to give up on some of the things, activities, and even girlfriends. I tell you, this is amazing and hilarious. Okay, on you, Brother Tupula.
Yes, what actually, as a leader, you have to give up on. I have only two, unless other things comes in when I'm speaking. I only have two reasons and two things actually a leader should give up with. One is actually drugs. As a leader, you need to give up. You need not to associate with drugs, more so alcohol. You know, in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 1, there is a mother, King Lemuel. King Lemuel's mother is advising this king that alcohol is not meant for the kings. It's actually not meant for the kings. It is meant for the people who are dying and the people who are distressed. But as a leader, you yourself, you don't have distress. You are not dying. You want to serve these people. So this alcohol is only meant for the people who are dying. And the Bible usually tells us that way. That if you refer in the book of Proverbs chapter 31 verse 1, King Lemuel advising the mother, actually that's saying as a leader, as a king, you need to give up on what? On alcohol. That one, as a leader, you need to give it. Wachana tunayo. Just say, as a leader, mimi wacha niache. Unaweza chafulia watu meza. Unaweza nunulia, but don't take. Because as a leader, unaweza lazima wakwambie, can you promote us in this place? Can you promote us in this place? But you as a leader, avoid it thoroughly. The second thing is actually women. Relationship. Leaders, we as leaders, we need not to concentrate on women. Women have actually killed leaders. Women have actually killed leaders. Even if you refer that in that book still, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, it is still advising that King Lemuel. And you know we are kings. Once you are a king, when you are a leader, you are a king. So when you get that advice, that don't spend much of your time on women and sex, that one you are building leadership. You are creating yourself as a leader. You are building yourself. You are growing. And thereafter, you need also to be wise enough. Be wise enough in terms of selection. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, this is great. The one that I've come up with from my two great leaders here is that you have to give up on women. Ladies outside there, you don't have men in leadership. That is great. In experience, leaders are quick to lead before knowing anything about people they intend to lead. But mature leaders listen, learn, and then lead. Wow, this is great. This is great. It is you and the space you have in your heart. In you is you and me, not us and we. And therefore, if you have to develop yourself, then you have to start by saying, I have to develop me and I, not we and us. Because to start from within, to start developing yourself, mentoring, nurturing, and developing, start from within, not from outside. And therefore, keep tuned. Watch my next video on Sunday. I love you all. Mwah.